This is the AB4WS radio show. Every week, bringing you the exciting amateur radio news and information happening in the greater Cincinnati, Ohio, Kentucky, and Indiana areas.
The AB4WS radio show can be found on the Apple Podcast app or your favorite podcast application. We start this week's program on a somber note. We've just been advised that Don King, AJ4DK, had a serious heart attack this morning and is in the hospital on life support. Please keep Don and his family and friends in your prayers for a quick recovery. Don is a longtime secretary of the Amateur Radio Emergency Team in Northern Kentucky and was a founding member of the group and recently elected as director of the organization. Get well quick, Don. Well, fall is here, and it's almost that time again to think about Honor Run 2024. The event will take place this year on Sunday, November 10th, 2024 at 7 a.m. The event will once again start and end under the famous Florence Shaw Water Tower. Once again, Amateur Radio Emergency Team of Northern Kentucky has been asked to provide communications throughout the course. They're looking for amateur radio operators to provide emergency and logistic communications for the event. Volunteers will be on their post by 6:15 a.m. that morning as Florence Police will begin shutting down the streets for the event. The event usually lasts approximately 4 hours, so the last stations along the course should be dismissed before 11 a.m. The event has started to raise money for veterans to fly to D.C. to visit their memorials in their honor. This will be the 10th year for the event, and last year the event raised over $42,000 for the cause. The event is fairly low-key, and if you're interested in trying a public service event with amateur radio, this is a very good event to get started with. If you're a newcomer and would like to participate but are a little uncertain, the coordinator can pair you up with an experienced operator. It is a very good opportunity to gain experience and can be a lot of fun as well, with all the proceeds for the event going for a great cause. If you would like to participate, please contact Tim Lawrence, W4TWL, the event amateur radio coordinator, at W4TWL@yahoo.com by Friday, October 25th. Once the roster is filled, you'll receive the assignment sheet, frequency plan, map, and other information. The Northern Kentucky Amateur Radio Club Volunteer Examiner Coordinator Mark Volstead, AI4BJ, announced the results of this week's NKARC exam session, and congratulations to Joel Tucker, who passed the technician exam and is now KQ4VLK. Cliff Ravenscraft, KQ4UUR, who last month aced the technician class license and this month came back and aced the general class license. Cliff, you got to go for 3 aces in a row with an extra class exam next month. And speaking of extra class exams, Dan Alexander, KE9AKS, passed his extra class exam. Congratulations to all three. And if you hear Joel, KQ4VLK, on the air, give him a hearty welcome to the hobby. The Queen Bee Half Marathon will take place on Saturday, October 12th, 2024 in Steve Lewis. NATFD is looking for some amateur radio volunteers to assist with communications for the event. This is a great way for hams to give back to their community and utilize their skills and equipment for others. Think about volunteering, and if you have questions or want to help, email Steve at natfd@fuse.net. The Letcher County Amateur Radio Club announced that they're bringing back the Letcher County SKYWARN net every Monday night at 8 p.m. on the Whitesburg repeater of 145.350 with a PL tone of 186.2 with a rotating net control stations. If you would like to volunteer for net control duties, please contact Roland Brown, AF4Y. The American Radio Relay League is looking for the next Kentucky section manager. Nominations will be listed in the October issue of QST magazine. The nominated candidate must be a resident of the Kentucky section, a licensed amateur radio operator of technician class or higher, and a full member of the ARRL for a continuous term of at least 2 years immediately preceding receipt of the petition of nomination and throughout the subsequent term of office. We really need some new blood in the Kentucky ARRL section, so if you know of someone who has new, innovative ideas for the Kentucky section, please convince them to step up and be nominated for this position. If you have questions about what this entails, reach out to Great Lakes Director Scott Yonley, N8SY at SYONALLY@ARRL.org. If you want to see a couple great ham radio videos, check out the Bluegrass Amateur Radio Society YouTube channel and check for the video on the antenna height and the other video on the balloon launch. Both of them are really interesting. The Ohio Amateur Radio Society and the Queen City Emergency Net on Monday, September 30th at 7 p.m. in the Red Cross Building will start a class instruction for the general class and technician class. The entry-level ham radio license will be offered. These classes will go for 5 weeks ending on October 28th. A testing session will be held on Saturday, November 2nd, 2024 at 10 a.m. at the Red Cross Building. To sign up for this class or to get more information, please send an email to hamtutor@ohkyin.org. The Lake Cumberland Amateur Radio Association will be working the Lake Cumberland Air Show at the Lake Cumberland Regional Airport on September 21st, where they'll be setting up the MCOM trailer and demonstrating amateur radio to the visiting community, as well as setting up a speaker for audio for the performing pilots at the air show. If you're interested in this event, reach out to Mike, KY6MM. On September 23rd at 7 p.m., the Amateur Radio Emergency Team of Northern Kentucky will meet at the Bethesda Community Church, 989 East Mount Zion Road in Independence, Kentucky. This will be the first meeting of the new directors and should outline the future training, projects, and exercises and other interesting things the club will undertake. So if you're interested in helping out with amateur radio emergency communications, come on out to the meeting. The Lake Cumberland Amateur Radio Association on September 28th will be at the Somernites Cruise Corvette Summer Showcase, and again setting up the MCOM trailer and running a special event station, K4S, again this year. If you're interested in the event, reach out to Mike, KY6MM. The third annual Summits on the Air Campout will be held on the weekend of April 12, 2025. Pancake breakfast at 8 a.m. on Sunday morning. Make your reservations now by calling 606-589-2478 at the Kingdom Come State Park, which is a primitive campground with limited running water and privy toilets. The nearest town is Cumberland, Kentucky. For more information, contact Michael, N4DCW. On December 4th, the Woodford County Amateur Radio Club will hold their 2024 annual Christmas dinner and election of 2025 officers at 6 p.m. at the Callie's Homestyle Restaurant, 447 Lexington Street in Versailles, Kentucky.
Repeater news.
The Lake Cumberland Amateur Radio Association gathered Don, AC4DM, Wanda, WM4LM, and Ron, N4RLS, and together they did some work on the Monticello repeater on 145.150 with a PL tone of 77 Hz, and retuning the duplexer, the repeater can be heard clearly in Somerset, Kentucky. So now both the 145.150 and the 146.88 repeaters are working very, very well. Richard Hyde and Nathan Smallwood report that the 147.180 repeater, the KE4GJG with a PL of 74.4 on Raccoon Mountain near London, Kentucky, now has an RF link to Hamshack Hotline. Just get out your Hamshack Hotline phone and call 94130 on Hamshack Hotline to connect.
Hamfests.
On September 22nd is the Cleveland, Ohio Hamfest at the Cuyahoga County Fairgrounds, 164 Eastland Road in Berea, Ohio. Talking on the 145.410 repeater with a PL of 110.9. September 28th is the Paintsville KY4ARC Hamfest at the Paintsville Recreation Center, 232 Preston Street in Paintsville, Kentucky. For more information, go to ky4arc.com. The Bluegrass Amateur Radio Society and Lexington, Kentucky Hamfest, originally scheduled for October the 5th, has been canceled. October 5th is the Northwest Ohio Amateur Radio Club Hamfest at the New Hope Christian Center, 2240 Batty Drive in Elida, Ohio. Talking on the 146.670 repeater with a 118.8 PL tone. October 5th is the Scioto Valley Amateur Radio Club Hamfest at the Pike County Fairgrounds, 311 Mill Street in Piketon, Ohio. The first annual Harlan County Amateur Radio Free Fest will be held on Saturday, October 12, 2024 from 8 a.m. to 1 p.m. at the Harlan County Shriners Fairground on Highway 522 in Putney, Kentucky. This is an indoor and outdoor event where tailgaters are welcome. There will be no fee or setup charge for admission. They are hoping this event will grow into a nice little hamfest. To reserve some space or to get some information, please email kk4kcq@gmail.com. October 19th from 8 a.m. to noon at the Laughley Valley Fall Hamfest at the Brighton, Indiana Lions Club, 2160 Lamplight Drive in Lawrenceburg, Indiana. October 27th is the MARC Hamfest at the Military Aviation Preservation Society, 2260 International Parkway in North Canton, Ohio. The Grant Radio Club Hamfest will be held on November 9th from 8 a.m. to 12:30 p.m. at 406 West Plum Street in Georgetown, Ohio. Talking on the 146.730 repeater with a PL tone of 162.2. For more information, contact Ken Klosterman at kd8fku@gmail.com.
Are you looking to upgrade your license? Do you have someone else that's interested in the hobby? Here are some upcoming exam opportunities.
The Milford Amateur Radio Club holds amateur radio testing on the third Thursday of each month at 6 p.m. at the Miami Township Civic Center, 6101 Meyer Drive in Milford, Ohio. Please pre-register at milfordhamradio.org. The Dayton Amateur Radio Association has exams frequently. For their exam schedule, email exams.w8bi@gmail.com. On October 5th at 10 a.m., the Silver Creek Amateur Radio Association will hold an amateur radio exam session at the Sharon Center Methodist Church, 6407 Ridge Road in Wadsworth, Ohio. Please pre-register at w8wky.org/license-exams. On October 5th at noon, the Lake County Amateur Radio Association will hold an amateur radio exam session at the Kirtland Library, 9267 Chillicothe Road in Kirtland, Ohio. On October 12th at 10 a.m., the Westchester Amateur Radio Association will host an amateur radio exam session at the Voice of America Museum, 8070 Tylersville Road in Westchester, Ohio. Please pre-register at hamstudy.org/sessions/WC8VOA. On October 27th at 8:30 a.m., the Massillon Amateur Radio Club will hold an amateur radio exam session at the MAPS Air Museum, 2260 International Parkway in North Canton, Ohio. On November 9th at 10 a.m., the Westchester Amateur Radio Association will host an amateur radio exam session at the Voice of America Museum, 8070 Tylersville Road in Westchester, Ohio. Please pre-register at hamstudy.org/sessions/WC8VOA. On December 7th at 10 a.m., the amateur radio exam session will be held at the Georgetown Police Department, 550 Bourbon Street in Georgetown, Kentucky. You must register at hamstudy.org/sessions/WX4GPS. Special thanks to this week's content contributors: KY6MM, KE4WA, KY4GW, WB8YYS, KD8ZLD, K9HIO, N8LAR, K4NKU.
If you have something you think other amateur radio operators in the area would be interested in, send the information or your recorded audio file attached in an email to ab4ws.radio@gmail.com.
Covering your amateur radio news and information in the greater Cincinnati, Ohio, Kentucky, and Indiana tri-state area. This is Jack Prindle, AB4WS in Big Bone, Kentucky.